Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Everyone situated? We'll call the workshop session to order. First order of business is discussion regarding the recycling program.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're going to kind of tag team this item. Based on the last council meeting that we had brought up recycling for Lampasas County residents as an interest because of a few people who reside in the county have wanted to utilize those services. Back in 2018 is when we actually started the recycling program, and at that time we opened it up to City of Lampasas residents only, and we added 50 cents to their residential bill for their trash services, which allowed them to provide their bill or their driver's license, something to show that they were a City of Lampasas resident, that they could utilize the services for recycling. Since that time, we really haven't revisited any other services or expand our services outside of Lampasas residents. At that time, back in 2018, it was $3.15 for the haul, and it was $25 per ton for them to be able to service that recycling container. Since that time, I have got some estimated newer fees. So the haul cost has gone to $3.42, and the ton is $54 per ton. Right now, currently, we are getting Tuesday service, so they will come Tuesday and switch out the container for us. I did provide at your dais a little group of papers that we have not only for recycling, but also for our collection station as well. Inside that little pamphlet that I gave to y'all, there is a copy of a picture that I took Tuesday of the recycling container by itself, and it was full. And that is just with the city residents utilizing this service. So that is something that we will have to consider, is increasing our frequency possibly, depending on how this pans out, the costs that we're going to offset with county utilizing this facility, and then the service dates, are they going to be able to maintain service within us for Waste Connections as far as the service that they provide to us today. So it may go to having 2 days a week. It might maintain and stay at 1 day a week. The haul might be higher. The tonnage may be higher. We don't know yet. That's just kind of speculating what the future will hold if we choose to go this direction. So right now, we just wanted to kind of bring you some data. We don't have everything conclusive, of course. There's still research to be done, but we just wanted to kind of open this up for discussion with regarding to your thoughts or any feedback you may have, as well as I did place this on the regular agenda for y'all to direct us to move forward if you want us to continue to research and do some cost analysis on our behalf.
Well, for myself, I think that's what would be good, just to find out the cost and give us something to go by, whether we think anybody would be interested in paying those additional costs.
I do too, because without the numbers, we wouldn't know what to charge if we were going to open it up to city or to county residents. And I mean, we don't have exactly what we need number-wise right now. Like how much is it costing right now?
Well, right now, on average, is about $1,700 a month is what we spend just on recycling. And that's just the haul and just the tonnage, nothing to do with staff or the cost of an additional container, anything like that. And we wouldn't have concrete numbers because we wouldn't know the influx of the service being provided. So it would just be a rough estimate of what we could try to come up with regarding any type of statistical data to you. We can go historically and show you what we spent since day one on recycling, kind of give you a picture and what we could look at if that was to double, and kind of give you some numbers as far as just kind of speculating.
Good. I'm aware of one person in particular that is interested, but there might be others, but there might not be others in the county that are willing to pay a little extra. So be interesting to see. Any other comments?
I was just going to ask what you know what the income is from that?
The 50 cents is all we're charging for recycling per residential customer is what we do. So I think it came out to be about $1,500, I think, roughly, depending on how many we have every month of utility customers.
Per month?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So based on that, we're already in the hole?
Yeah.
Yes, and that's just the recycling costs.
Right.
The recycling is budgeted as part of the Citizens Collection Station. And I think at the time that we initiated this, we felt like it wasn't a source, it wasn't a profit center for us. In fact, if we lost some money, I think council was happy with that. I think it's staff's job to always make sure you go in with your eyes open so you know exactly what you're losing on it. It's just like swim lessons or Parks Department. But we have steadily seen, at least the data, the financial data indicates that we've seen increased use of the Citizen Collection Station, which is inclusive of brush collection, the demolition waste, the regular that people dump, as well as the recycling. And our income has gone up from basically 28,000 to about 31,000 over the last couple of years, but our expenses have also risen at the same time. I think, as Becky said, what we've come up with is we haven't come up with answers, we've come up with more questions, and we may need to look at a couple of more items, not only related to the cost per unit of disposal, but do we need to do other things at the Citizens Collection Station, maybe to get council to that level of comfort in terms of how much money it loses, or if we want to break even. If we want it to break even, that would put a pretty good burden on a pretty valuable resource for the community. But those are some of the questions that we're kind of kicking around. But again, as Councilman Keeney pointed out, until we get to a per unit cost, inclusive in that per unit cost would probably not be inclusive of overhead, but at least it would give you some sort of basis for an actionable item.
Have we ever done any type of survey to see what kind of community support would be for this program or anything?
Not specifically for recycling. I think at the time that council moved forward on this item, we had, I don't know if we'd ever had curbside, but we'd maybe looked into curbside. The cost was, at least at that time, what council considered as prohibitive. I know my experience in Llano is that we had curbside for a little while, and part of this is promotion and education, but we had only about 5 to 7% of folks using it, and so it was it didn't make sense. The single point drop off made more sense in that particular instance, but curbside could be popular here too. But I think we just want to make sure that council has the information and the data to move us forward, and that's really what we're coming up with.
Any other questions? Thank you both. Next item is discussion regarding LCRA step forward projects. Chris?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So most of you are aware that each year LCRA comes to town and helps us with a community project or two. We're eligible to submit for just about any project we want, and they'll send a team of volunteers to help us complete that project. This year, I'm proposing repainting the handrails and picnic tables in Brook Park, planting some trees at the Oak Hill Cemetery, and probably doing some painting and striping at the practice tennis wall at the Gavin Garrett tennis courts, or Goodrich tennis courts, I'm sorry. But I'd like to hear council's opinion, or if you've got some suggestions on projects or something.
I've spoken to Becky and Finley about this a couple of times, but the bridge, the sidewalk bridge from the Henna Springs over to the old middle school, really needs some attention.
It does. I don't think that's a project that LCRA could do, not at this capacity anyway. I think that we'd have to hire some professionals to do that. We've done the bridges in Brook Park, and it's a really big chore. It's a huge project. Because it's over that waterway, that would be the main obstacle, but they would need to envelop that entire bridge in some kind of, well, for lack of a better term, diaper, and catch everything before it hits that water, before we could refinish it.
Okay. I'd like someone to think about that and see what we can do.
We can?
And I have to admit that I haven't been out to the tennis courts in a really long time, but are they all tennis courts, or have some of them been converted to pickleball?
They are all tennis courts, but a couple of them have pickleball lines on them. So you can play either. We do have a group that's wanting us to do all of them into pickleball courts. But
Well, yeah, I think having a couple pickleball courts is great. I think that people still play tennis too, so I think it's nice to be able to give them a variety of recreational options.
I agree.
Any other suggestions for Chris? Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Next item, discussion regarding any other item on the regular agenda. Anyone have anything they want to add? At this point, we could adjourn the workshop session, if I could get a motion.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll move forward right on into the regular session, if that's okay with everyone. And I'll call to order the regular session. Chief Cummins, would you mind giving us a prayer?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. We thank you with open hearts, open minds, for the opportunity to be able to take care of the citizens' business, which is your people's business. We're very grateful for the gentle rains over the last week. We thank you for the season of Thanksgiving. As we go forward into Christmas, we ask that you'll be with all of us and to truly understand what this event is about. We ask your forgiveness for our sins. We ask that you watch over us in safety till we can meet again. Bless these proceedings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Let's join in the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We do have some service announcements tonight, service anniversaries. First one, Mary Garcia, 5 years. Mary Mendez, 15 years. Joe Swartzer, 15 years. Next item, public hearings, citizen comments. Any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter that is not included on the agenda may do so at this time. The city council may not deliberate on items presented under this agenda item. We have no one. Next item, citizen comments. Any citizen who desires to address the council on a matter that is included on the agenda may do so. No one. Discussion and possible action concerning the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on November 14, 2022.
I didn't see any corrections. Recommend approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda has one item, discussion and possible action regarding the second reading of an ordinance amending Lampasas Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, Fee Schedule, Chapter 54, Parks and Recreation, Golf Course Fees.
Recommend approval.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have the Police Department Monthly Report. Chief Cummins.
Thank you.
Thanks.
think so. We're about to find out. Good evening, council, mayor. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to visit with y'all for just a few minutes about our department. We have 37 paid employees at the police department. Fortunate enough to say that I've got 3 right-hand people in no particular order. We have Assistant Chief Boswell, Patrol Lieutenant Chuck Montgomery, and then we've got Dispatch Supervisor and our Records Clerk, Kelly St. Jeanette. Assistant Chief Boswell on a regular basis supervises our investigative division, which is 2 full-time investigators plus a code enforcement sergeant. He also helps oversee our animal control shelter, which is 1 animal control supervisor and 2 animal shelter techs, and then our animal control officer. Patrol Lieutenant Chuck Montgomery, he has 2 full-time patrol sergeants. They alternate nights, weekends on, weekends off, and then he has 1 SRO sergeant. That leaves 9 full-time patrolmen and 5 full-time SROs, counting Sergeant Shelton. That's 1 for each campus. Dispatch Supervisor Sanguinette has 1 dispatcher / records clerk, and then 8 other dispatchers. That's 10 certified dispatchers, including Kelly and all of her staff. We also have 15 Citizens Police Academy alumni, which obviously aren't paid, but they assist us greatly, and they obviously have all been to our Citizens Police Academy over the years. We have 3 firemen that have also been to, graduated, and are licensed peace officers. 1 is our fire marshal, and 2 are our regular firemen that come and help us quite a bit when they're not obviously working at the fire department, and we're grateful to have them. That's 37 full-time employees, 23 officers, counting myself now, 10 dispatchers, 3 animal shelter employees, and 1 animal control officer. I've got just a few numbers. In the last 12 months, we've answered 35,526 phone calls that have came into the police department. 2,901 of those rang a lot louder. Those were our 911 calls. We generated 11,850 calls for service, arrested 779 people, 1,387 traffic citations were issued, 4,138 traffic warnings, and we drove 171,974 miles on patrol duty with 26 vehicles. Our Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association assisted us with 569 hours last year with various events throughout the city. Our brand new emergency medical dispatch program, which we only have had for about a month and a half, so during the month of October, a short month to base stats on, but we had 250 ambulance calls that we dispatched, 133 in the city, 117 in the county. Now, to estimate out, and I know it's only 1 month, that would be 3,000 ambulance calls per year that we would dispatch if it continues at this pace. Again, part in the city, part in the county. And our program's going well at this point, so no gripes. Animal shelter, 458 dogs came into our animal shelter last year. 577 cats, and 95 other various animals. To remind you, our shelter is built on city property, and about 12 years ago, the city and the county split the construction, and we split the bills down the middle every year. But we maintain and manage and take care of all the employees and such. So those animals are a combination of city and county. Works out well. We're lucky to have it work that way. Joe, our animal control officer that y'all just congratulated, 2,055 calls for service that he had last year. He's busy all day long, and we hardly ever see him or hear of him, but it's not unheard of for him to have maybe 15, 16, 17 calls a day. Might not have that many the next day, but he's constantly doing this all over town, doing something involving animals. That's a lot of calls for him. Some of our additional duties that a lot of people might not think of, and we're able to do it as a small police department. Larger cities, not that they wouldn't, it's just geographically, due to the numbers, they aren't able to. But it's part of what makes it nice, I think, to live in a small community. We still unlock and jumpstart cars. We come to your house, your school, your church, talk to a young person that maybe needs a visit. We'll do bank escorts, stand by while they do repairs, move money around. We'll attend speaking engagements on just about any topic. Dignitary security, if anybody comes to town, elected officials, a lot of times on the fly. Put it together, we'll be there, we'll help out. We provide paid security at a very reasonable rate. Funeral escorts, traffic escorts. We provide a ride to anybody that requests one. Joe's gone at 5 o'clock and somebody needs an animal call, they can't wait till tomorrow, a patrolman, if time and calls a lot, go get in that animal truck, go answer that call, take that animal to the pound, take care of it, do the paperwork so Casey's happy the next morning, and they know how to do it, and go back to patrol. We do that on the weekends as well. You just wouldn't be able to do that in a larger community, I don't think. Civil standbys, people exchange property, divorces, children, evictions. We'll go stand by, you know, reasonably for for an amount of time if it'll help people get along to take care of some kind of business, prevent a problem. We'll do fingerprints. Someone's trying to get into some program or get a license, they come down, need their fingerprints as part of the background. We'll do that for you at the police department. And one thing we do that's pretty neat is we have a car seat program that's partially funded through a grant. So we've got about 4 to 6 car seats at any point, brand new over here. If someone comes in and needs a car seat, they can't afford one, really no questions asked. They have to go through about a 30-minute instruction on how to install it. We've got 2 patrolmen and 2 Citizens Police Academy alumni members that have been to I think it's a 2-day schooling to be able to be certified to do this. And it's a lot more to it than I ever would have thought of. I'll be honest, I probably had mine in wrong most of the time when my children were growing up and didn't know it. But we do that regularly. We probably provide a couple of seats a month, and we probably give instructions 4 or 5 times to people that are walking alone, and they just don't understand them, or somebody told them they have to see us for them. So that's kind of neat. There's some others, but that's just some of the ones that came up when I had to get everybody around and said, what all do we do that people probably don't realize we do? So I'm glad to do it. A few of the big events that we participate in throughout the year is our Citizens Police Academy. In the springtime, when school's out with LCHEC, College for Kids, it's expanded to 2 days. It's a great program. First day is we go through a mock investigation called Who Stole the Mascot? And it's 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, give or take. And we usually have 12 to 15 in the class. We'll go through an investigation report to the end, you know, fingerprints, the whole 9 yards, and catch the bad guy. The next day, our school resource officers, they go through all the patrol activities with the cars and equipment and drone and all of that. Pretty neat deal. It gets a little bigger every year. Our DEA drug take back, twice a year, spring and fall, all day long. We'll sit down there. Our Citizens Police Academy assists us. And anybody that wants to get rid of everything in the Medicine Academy can bring it on down, package it up, and we take it to North Austin to the DEA drop-off facility, and they accept all of this. Throughout the year, we've got a drop-off box in the lobby that anytime anybody can bring down, lock and key, obviously, and we keep it empty, keeping the evidence. So all of that goes twice a year. And it's a great deal. It not only keeps it off the street, but the biggest thing is it keeps it out of the water. And I think that's part of the driving factor when we made it this year, this years ago. And I bet we take probably 6 to 8 copy paper size boxes in the spring, in the fall, 2 times a year. It's about how much we run down there. So that's not in the street, not thrown in the trash, and not in the water. So it's a good deal. It doesn't cost us a thing but a few hours at a time. Spring Ho, National Night Out, about 25 other events that we support involve street closures. We'll come down with the cones and barricades set up, pick them up. Streets Department helps us a lot of times. We get that done. About a half a dozen other events that are on the calendar every year that involve street closures. Can't believe I left a big one off till I was going through this for the last time a while ago, but I'm not busy Monday, 11 to 2, fire department, open house, bring toy, have food. But, you know, it's not too big of an event, but I left it off the list. I'll call it a day. We got that going on and we're getting ready, so come see us. A few other notable happenings throughout last year. In the springtime, for the first time ever, we put 3 people through the police academy. Started in January, ended in June. They were in training with us through September, and they're all on the road. We've sponsored a few here and there, but never that many at once. Just having trouble finding people that want to be a certified police officer right now. It's not just us, it's industry-wide throughout the country. But it worked out good, because all 3 of these young men are from here, raised here, and they're now raising their families here, and they're now working in our community. So that's unprecedented for us, but it worked out well. We had a changing of the guard, as you know. Chief Baker's retired, and 9 months later, I'm still here, so I think it's working out. Our mid-year raises, I can't thank y'all enough. That was a big deal for the city, and especially for first responders, people in the fire department as well. We're very grateful for that, appreciate it. 3 new dispatchers as part of the EMD program, and we're saw her from City Hall, and she's doing a great job. We've got 2 other people that have just come on and they're in training, and that's working out wonderfully. Adding 2 new SROs is a new thing for us, because that's 2 more to the staff, which added to the total 37 employees. So it's been a lot in the last few months, but I think we're getting over the humps and we're getting it done. And that's some of the biggest things that happened with us last year. Some of the challenges and opportunities. Again, industry-wide, it just doesn't seem to have quite the shine it did to be a police officer all of a sudden. I think it goes to the last few years of the defund anti-police, some bad apples that caused some black eyes for all of us. Not to de-emphasize it, can't emphasize enough some bad things that happened. Y'all seen it. What it did, though, is locally we couldn't have been supported more. We'd be out to eat, be at an event, people would thank us, they couldn't believe what they were seeing on TV. They would call, send their kids up to say hi, buy us lunch. But as much as we were supported, about 2 or 3 years out from when all of that started, we're still supported, but they're just not sending their sons, their husbands, their grandkids down to be cops. Very thankful for what we're doing. They don't know if they will do it. And so I think it'll be years before we level out to where it's going to be. So it's presented some challenges, which sending people to the police academy has been one of the answers, and that was working out well, but it just takes a lot more time as opposed to a certified police officer ready to go that wants to come work for us as quick as they can put in their notice and move from one area to another. So that's what we're doing. That's one of our answers, and we'll figure it out and we'll ride it out. But it has created some challenges for us to deal with for the years to come. And our pay and incentives, again, very grateful for what's happened recently with y'all and being able to help us out. And not to try to slide in, more for the future, but I do think it's important to watch in our industry and first responders to make sure we don't lose footing and we stay where we're at with the benefits that we've recently gotten. And again, as an answer to some of the recruiting and retention problems. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. Growth, you can all see the rooftops, the traffic, the businesses are not exploding, but we're moving. And as a result of that over time, I think we'll have some staffing issues that we'll need to address. Not tomorrow, I'm not asking to put anybody on, but I think it's something we need to watch closely because every call for service, every phone call, every ambulance call, the more they increase, those little fingers just go into everything we do. Time, paperwork, management, just something to consider and we need to keep an eye on. Our facilities, our police department's in great shape for about a 22-year-old building. Received a new roof in the last couple of years, partially funded with LCRA grant. We've got paint inside and out. And I think we've always done a really good job of maintaining what we've got. But we don't have a whole lot of room in there right now. Our overall room is getting less and less every day. I think we've got, when we're fully staffed, we'll have 1 empty desk for patrol right now, fully staffed. And we could add a little more, but we don't have any storage, and it's getting tight. I'm not asking for a building, don't get me wrong, I'm not thinking that in here. But I do think it's something to keep in the back of our minds because that's a major thing. And I think down the road, 4, 5, 6 years, who knows, because again, all this traffic and population increase and whatnot. But it's something we need to keep our eyes on. I feel like I'm doing a service if I didn't bring that up and mention it. It's starting to get time. You can see it on the roads. Equipment-wise, our biggest challenge is digital. Very fortunate to have our IT department, Monica and Christie, and Chuck likes to handle all of our IT stuff on the control end and the department's end over here. And between the 3 of them, they keep us humming along. But it is a challenge. It's just kind of unbelievable to step back and think of all the advancements since I started, particularly over the last 5 years. I think that right here, patrolling on the street, car video, body camera, boom, immediately it goes up somewhere to a satellite, goes to a facility, storage, go back to the office, fire up the internet, and watch that video. County attorney can walk in the next morning with his coffee without even calling us and watch a video from the arrest from the night before. That's pretty cool stuff, but it requires a whole lot of support. And it's just the expectations of our society today to be able to have all that information instantaneously. So again, thank you to our IT department and appreciate all of Chuck's hard work and all that they do. But it is a challenge and it's something we constantly have to monitor and stay up to. There's not a day that goes by that there's not some kind of a digital, internet, IT, car video, radio, something issue that we're working too much too fast. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to.
Chief, I just want to say, Chief Cummins, Chief Smith, how thankful I am to you guys, and thankful that you guys go out every day and put your life on the line for us. And from my perspective, in my opinion, you guys are doing an exemplary job. Thank you.
You're welcome. Chief Smith can't believe anybody won't do anything but fire. I can't believe anybody won't do anything but police. We not get around all the time, but I have to say our departments get along well, and we work great together.
That's awesome, and it shows.
Thank you, Jody. I'm sure the whole council feels the same way Herb does. Thank you so much, and Chief Smith.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
Thank y'all again.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next item is the city manager's operational report.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just a few brief comments on the memo that's included in your packet. Wanted to report on the recent meeting of the LEDC, and as you can see by my notes, a lot of it was tied up in Phase 1 of the business park improvements, including construction, and spent a fair amount of time also talking about land use regulations, obviously, how we would make sure that that property is divided in a way that meets the needs of businesses that might express an interest in that. When we talk about land use, we talk about generally from north to south, having those businesses and uses that are less intense on the northern side, and then as you move south, the businesses that are perhaps most intensive in terms of land use, and that's similar to comparison between an office building and your batching concrete. So those are kind of the extremes that we would look at in terms of use of the business. We're also discuss the status of hiring for the Economic Development Director. 580 Sports Park, there has been at least some renewed interest in the identification as well as improvement on the hike and bike trails out at 580. Those of you that have been out, as Mayor Pro Tem can testify, there's kind of a number of trails out there. Some of them are being maintained by volunteers and enthusiasts, and some of them are just kind of looks like freelancing going on out there. We have been approached by Shannon Martin about maybe taking a look at a possible alternative. Council may recall, or at least the ones that were present may recall, that we did do a concept plan that was included in your packet. Actually, that was just one page of about a 20-page report that we received about potential and possibilities for the inclusion of IMBA in terms of the planning and construction. And I think what Shannon's come up with is something that probably makes a little more sense, is is it a possibility to get IMBA to come out and at least stake or mark some of those trails and then have the trails developed by a group of volunteers. As we continue that process or continue to discuss, certainly the park board will be involved as well as council. Wayfinding, Becky and Ryan report a productive kickoff meeting with representatives from the city's highest ranked firm. That was Studio 1619. They came to town on November 15th, took a tour, sat down and talked a little bit about some of the goals of the wayfinding. We're currently in an internal review on a contract that will include the city attorney on as well, and we will move forward on that as allowed by council's motion. 3rd Street Bridge, Ryan reports that TxDOT has reached out to us about the design and scope of the East 3rd Street Bridge Park project that was mentioned to council previously. Just as a reminder that bridge, I rode across it again today, there's really not much room there. It's not a tremendously long span, but TxDOT wants to make it a little bit more accessible to pedestrian traffic, et cetera. So probably a little wider, also may require the acquisition of a little right-of-way. Some of those details to be worked out. The city will be required, we were unsure of this when we initially reported, the city will be required to provide a 10% match, which is estimated at about $56,000. However, there is a means to provide in-kind labor as a part of that match, and I think after looking at some of the options that TxDOT presented in terms of using not only that bridge but other off-system bridges in terms of work and maintenance. I think we feel reasonably optimistic about the city's ability to match 100% of that in kind without a dollar. Is that accurate, Ryan? Ryan's on top of it. Weather delays, the wet weather has, I sound like a broken record with the skate park. They're up to elevation. It's just they can't get that last little bit done. As I previously reported, Spa is a little bit behind because of weather delays in other communities, but we think if we can get just a stretch of a week or two of a little bit warmer and drier weather, we can probably get the concrete demolition initiated and done, as well as the skate park. We think that once they get started, it'll be relatively short time for completion. In-service training, I'd also like to, again, kind of thank Ryan. He's been able to incorporate some in-service training, which really is not only the training, it's new skills, but the other thing that's a byproduct of doing that sort of thing is team building. So we've gotten, I think our street department, other departments feel like, hey, we're being recognized. Somebody's giving us some attention. We're learning new skills, and I think that makes for higher morale. So I think it's almost like the byproduct is every bit as good as the actual skills training they're receiving. So appreciate Ryan for taking the lead on that. Some of the items that they've been emphasizing is geolocating, GIS, SCADA, making sure we can shoot grade, work zone safety, and equipment operations. So good things are happening in that Public Works Department. Northington Creek, I think I'm sure we reported to you on this previously. And at this time, just to be clear, there are no actionable items. Right? We've got a pretty picture. We've got a concept. We are doing at least some internal review, but there is a possibility that this subdivision could go to the east of town, just to the east of the wastewater treatment facility. We had voiced some previous concerns in terms of egress as well as water. And this additional property that they've apparently optioned will address probably both of those items. Being able to tap off that big line coming down 190 or 4th Street should help quite a bit, as well as in a different point of egress. So we wanted to make council updated on this project. We do know that the proposer would probably like to initiate rezoning at some point in the very near future, and we'll certainly keep you posted. Roofing, as mentioned in the November 14th meeting, we're teaming with roofers. You see roofer signs everywhere. Just for your information, if you do get a call from a citizen that's questioning whether somebody can knock on their door and disturb them from their regular daily or evening routine, they are required to have a peddler's permit, and please encourage them to give Becky Sims a call or even the PD a call. And then just as an aside, we are also collecting data, particularly on city facilities, city vehicles, trying to package those up to see what we have that we may be able to get repaired or not repaired, or it will depend almost on a case-by-case basis, typically what we do in terms of whether the repairs rise to the level of the deductible. So there are a number of factors that we'll look at, but be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Finley.
Thank you.
We have no unfinished business. New business, discussion and possible action regarding amending the recycling program.
Mayor and Council, this item was discussed during workshop, and I think by consensus you want us to move forward, but if I can get a motion, we'll do so.
I'd
Move to direct staff to continue efforts in identifying impacts and considerations to allow for more recycling volume at the city yard to be disposed of by Waste Connections.
Second.
I have a motion and a second from Ms. Keeney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, discussion and possible action regarding canceling the December 26, 2022 City Council meeting.
Mayor and council, this is more routine. We typically will cancel the second meeting in December. I just kind of wanted to make it official and bring it to your attention.
Move to approve the request to cancel the city council meeting scheduled for December 26, 2022.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 7.3, discussion and possible action regarding a request to close Briggs Street from East 4th Street to Mill Street on December 17th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the community toy drive to help mitigate traffic congestion.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We will be handing out all the toys and the sacks and everything like that on December 17th of 2022. What we've done in the past, and y'all have approved it, we closed the intersection at Briggs and 4th Street. We forced everybody to come into the fire station from the rear entrance off of Mills and College. They make that route around that way. It increases safety for us out there. It also decreases the difficulties as far as people backing up out onto 4th Street. So we're coming before you now to ask for permission to put a barricade across that. We have spoken with Michael Irvin. He is the owner now of what used to be Greenskeeper. We've advised him that we would be doing that. He expressed some concern with people cutting through that. We'll put a barricade across his property also. I've not yet spoken with the one house that is there on Briggs Street. They're kind of difficult to catch. Either I'm gonna have to get there earlier or I'm gonna have to stay later, one of the two, but we'll get their help. They can still go out the other way and go the back way. We're not closing the street down completely. We're just keeping traffic from coming in off of 4th Street. So if it's good with y'all, we'd like to get y'all's permission to shut that down.
Move to close Briggs Street from East 4th Street to Mill Street on December 17, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the community toy drive to help mitigate traffic congestion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn if there is no other business.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.